Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Halayim La Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Barakah HaKwadash, which means all praises to Yahweh, is the name of the Heavenly Father. Bahasham means in the name. Yahweh Shai is the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Barakah HaKwadash means in the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, the only way you can worship the Father and the Son. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, salutations to all you brothers who preach in the gospel in truth and in sincerity, always in charity. And Lord willing, it's going to be a quick little lesson. It's pretty much based off a comment a brother left on my video. The name of the video is called "Every Plant Which My Heavenly Father Have Not Planted Shall Be Rooted Up." It's pretty much inspired by these guys, Israelites, the branches, saying that there's no nukes in 2Edras, the 16th chapter. And I didn't watch the video. I'm probably not going to watch the video. So anyway, whatever. The brother left a comment, though. He said, "Brother, would you mind edifying those who may have watched the video that those guys put up about there being no nukes in 2Edras 16? Edifying where there are nukes in that chapter, a humble request." So the brother is asking, where there are nukes within this chapter. Now, this is 2Edras 16 and verse 1. Now, when you go into this, I'm going to just focus on the nuclear destruction. You can go into this chapter and you can go through this chapter because let's get the word plagues. Let's, because Salakia, because I got so many things running through my mind right now. Let's just get the word plagues real fast. This is the etymology of the word plague. Late 14th century plague, affliction, calamity, evil, or scourge. Early 15th century is malignant disease. From Old French plague, from Latin plaga, used in Vulgate for pestilence, from Latin plaga, stroke or wound. So it pretty much means a stroke or a wound, right? The Latin word also is the source of Old Irish plague, German plague, meaning epidemic that causes many deaths. You see? So ultimately the plague is just an affliction, a calamity, or evil, or a scourge, So just like in Egypt, you had the 10 plagues. And when you go through those plagues, one of the plagues was what? The locusts. That was considered a plague. That was considered a calamity. The fire being mingled with hail, or hail being mingled with fire raining down. That was considered a plague. That was considered a calamity or an evil. You see? So when you read 2Edras, the 16th chapter, these different plagues, these different things can be applied to this chapter, because ultimately it's talking about the totality of what's coming upon the world. You got famine, you got race wars, you got uproars of the people, riots of the people, man, martial law, all out anarchy. So when you read this in this 2Edras 16 and 1, it says, "Woe be unto thee, Babylon in Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt in Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand." You see? And before the nuclear missiles are shot off, what's going to be taking place through the earth? Great calamities, man. Famine, people being thrown in FEMA camps, great death and disease. This is all part of the destruction, but ultimately the nuclear missiles is the end game. So you might hear brothers go into 2Edras 16 and apply it to famine, and apply it to disease, and apply it to martial law, and apply it to insurrections and uprisings of the people, because all these things apply. Ultimately, the end game is the nuclear missiles. You see? So it says, "For your destruction is at hand." How is the Lord going to destroy these nations? This is the book of Isaiah 54 and 16. It says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. So that's what's bringing the destruction. It's this instrument that was created. You see? And we're going to find out what that instrument is. But let's go back to 2Edras 16, verse 3 now. It says, a sword is set upon you, and who may turn it back? A sword is sent upon you. That sword is bringing the destruction. So a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? Now that word sword just simply means destruction that's coming upon this place. Once again, it can be applied to famine. It can be applied to uproars of the people, martial law, pestilence and disease. You know, it can be applied to all those things because wisdom is manifold, according to Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter. But ultimately, the end game is what? The nuclear missiles. It says a sword is sent upon you. This is Deuteronomy 32 and 41. If I whet my glittering sword and my hand take on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and reward them that hate me. So it says what? The Lord said, if I whet my glittering sword, the word glittering, a flashing arrowhead, lightning flashes, you know, glittering sword. Why is that sword glittering? Well, this is Job 20. And 24. It says, he shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. So when iron or metal is in the sun, it glitters, it shines, you know? Because remind you, this is a vision that Moses was seeing in Deuteronomy. Moses was shown the destruction that's coming. Moses seen the missiles, you know? And that Deuteronomy 32, that glittering sword, is talking about ultimately the missiles. Verse 25, it is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. See? That's that destroying wind. That's that besom of destruction that Isaiah the 14th chapter speaks about. What's going to cause that? Nuclear missiles. It says that what? The glittering sword cometh out of his gall, coming out of the body. That's coming out of the silos. You see? An iron weapon, a bow of steel. So let's go back. A sword is sent upon you. Now we know what that sword is, that glittering sword. You see? What did the Lord say? This is Isaiah 34 and 1, because it named what? Babylon and Asia, Egypt and Syria, right? It's Isaiah 34 and 1. Come near ye nations, right? Those Asia, Babylon, Syria, Egypt. You know, it's these nations, man. Come near ye nations to hear and hearken ye people. Let the earth hear and all that is in therein and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, right? Harmagadwan. The mountain of troops, you know, Armageddon, where all these nations are gathering in the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh Shaphat. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies, and he hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. How is he going to destroy them? What we read in Isaiah 54. 2Edras 16 said that the destruction is coming. So we're seeing what the Lord is going to use to destroy these nations. This is verse 3. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. What is that? You know, it's going into the mushroom cloud, you know. And when the missiles are shot out of the silos, how they go in an arching fashion and come back down upon the earth. You see? Verse 5, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Didn't we just read about the sword? A sword is sent. That glittering sword. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So the Lord's sword is what? Those nuclear missiles that's going to come down upon this place, man. This is Isaiah 24. And 19, it says, the earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. What it says in 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, that the elements shall burn with fervent heat. You see? Verse 20, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. It's talking about Babylon, you know? So the whole earth is going to shake to and fro. It's going to totter. It's going to shake like a drunken man, like it says. So when these missiles get shot off and they get to exploding, it's going to shake this earth, man. Let's go back. 2Edras 16:3. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Yeah, man. You know, as it is written in the book of Isaiah, it says that the sinners of Zion are afraid. Roughly paraphrasing the scripture, it says, who amongst us may dwell in everlasting fire and burnings? Who gonna quench that fire, man? Nobody can be able to do that. Verse 5, plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? And ultimately is what? This is Zechariah 14 and 12. It says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouths. So your flesh gonna melt off your body. Your eyes gonna melt out of its sockets. Your tongue is gonna melt out of its mouth. What type of heat can do that? Nuclear, man. We just read it, a fire not blown, a nuclear reaction. You see? That fervent extreme heat. That's what's going to do that. This is Isaiah 13 and verse 5. It says, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even Yahweh Basham Yahushai, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Now we read in Isaiah 54, the Lord created that weapon. What's that weapon? It's the weapon of his indignation. And it comes from a far country. Intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBM. It could be shot from one continent to the other continent. You see? It says they come from a far country, from the end of heaven. It says, howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. What did it say in 2Edras? For your destruction is at hand, in verse 2, right? It says, therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. That plague that those that fought against Jerusalem is going to receive. Their eyes melting out of their sockets, their tongue melting out of their mouth. You see, this is what's coming. Verse 9, behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy sinners out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. That's what? That's that nuclear blackout. That's that mushroom cloud forming, man. According to Isaiah the 34th chapter that we read. Let's go back. 2Edras 16:5. Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? Now, once again, this can be applied to famine and pestilence and uprisings of people. You know, great chaos and atrocities happening throughout here. But ultimately, we're talking about the end game. You see? Verse 6, may any man drive away, may any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood? So the Lord is comparing this to what? A lion that's hungry as hell. When you trying to drive him, he's not going to stop. He hungry. So he's going to get what he came for. Well, it's the same thing as these judgments, as these plagues that's coming upon the earth. Ultimately, the nuclear missiles. You can't turn it back. Or may anyone quench the fire and stubble when it hath begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? Oh, it spoke about that arrow. Matter of fact, let's keep reading. It says, may one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? Where that fire coming from, man? You see? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? The earth quaketh. How's the earth going to shake? We just read Isaiah 24, the earth reeled to and fro. And the foundations thereof, the sea ariseth up with the waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled. So when the earth reels to and fro, what's going to happen with the oceans? It's going to be great tidal waves, man. You see? And the fishes thereof also before the Lord and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Then we read Isaiah 13. It says the weapons of his indignation and how they come from a far country to lay the land desolate. You see? So those arrows being shot from a far country from the other end of heaven, man. Now let's go back to Deuteronomy 32. And verse 41 again. If I whet my glittering sword and my hand take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and will reward them that hate me. The Lord said he will destroy the sinners out of it in Isaiah 13 that we read, right? Verse 42. I will make my arrows. So it's letting you know that the sword and the arrows are synonymous with each other. This is what's coming, the destruction by ICBM nuclear fire. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. You can go back to Isaiah 34, and the Lord said, what? My sword shall be made fat with blood, roughly paraphrasing. You know? This is what's coming to this place. You see? Because back in that Job 20 and 24, he shall flee from the iron weapon and the bow. You shoot an arrow with a bow, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. You see? It all goes into the arrows. It all goes into what? The bow, the sword. And so now I'm going to just hit arrows into the search engine, Slovakia. And go see what the Spirit gives. This is Psalm 7. And 11, it says, the Most High judgeth the righteous, and the Most High is angry with the wicked every day. If he turn not, he will whet his sword. Didn't we just read that in Deuteronomy? He hath bent his bow and made it ready. You see how the bow and the sword is together. It's talking about the nuclear missiles. He hath also prepared for him the instruments of death. He ordaineth his arrows against the persecutors. So in 2 Edras 16, when it's speaking about those arrows, it can be applied to what? To the nuclear missiles, man, getting shot from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth, man. Guys be wanting the preeminence, man. Hey, and the Lord resisted the proud, man. You know? And that's just my humble statement, because I don't know what is in those guys' mind or what or nothing, you know. But me personally, I feel like guys want to be looked at as somebody. They want the preeminence. They want to be looked at this great teacher or this guy that had this great revelation. Everything was already revealed unto Yahweh Shai. And he's opening our minds to see these things today. So the glory goes to Yahweh Shai, and then it redounds back to the Father, man. Anyway. This is Isaiah 58 and 6. It says, break their teeth, O power, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O power, which is their strength, their armies, right? Verse 7, let them melt away. How are they going to melt? Didn't we just read Zechariah 14 about your eyes melting out of your sockets, your tongue melting out of your mouth? What's going to cause that? Great heat. Isaiah 13, it says what? They're flames. It says, let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be as cut in pieces. As a snail which melteth. You ever put salt in a snail? You see? As a snail which melteth, let every one of them pass away like the untimely birth of a woman, that they may not see the sun. You know? And ultimately, that's the end game. That's the end result. This is Isaiah 58 and 26. And he will lift up an ensign to the nations from far, and will hiss unto them from the end of the earth. Oh, the end of the earth. And behold, they shall come with speed swiftly. Swiftly. You know, what did Russia say, man? They get a hypersonic fucking missile, man. You know, it can get here within, or I think they said 18 or 15 minutes. You know, I haven't read that article in a minute, you know. But verse 27, it says, none shall be weary nor stumble among them. None shall slumber nor sleep. Neither shall the girdle of his loins be loose, nor the latchet of their shoes broken. Whose arrows are sharp. Meaning what, man? When these missiles get shot off, they're going to go do what they meant to do. You know? Whose arrows are sharp and all their bows bent. Their horses' hooves shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring shall be like a lion. They shall roar like young lions. Yea, they shall roar and lay hold of the prey, and shall carry it away safe, and none shall deliver it, man. That's why I said it shall go ill with him that's left in the tabernacle. Because whoever left here in America when those missiles get shot, man, it's finito. You see? In that day they shall roar against them like the roaring of the sea. And if one look unto the land, behold, darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkened in the heavens thereof. Right? Because what it says, and this is Joel 2:1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong, there have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. This people is talking about the missiles. It says, there have not been ever the like, and it shall not be none after. There wasn't nuclear missiles 100 years ago, and neither will there be nuclear missiles in the kingdom of heaven, man. Because they're going to beat their swords into plowshares. It's verse 3. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. Didn't we read that in Isaiah the 5th chapter? It says none shall deliver it. You see? So when these things detonate, it's a wrap. It's through. Verse 4, the appearance of them as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Which you can match that with, I believe it's Revelation 9 and 16, matter of fact. Yep, this Revelation 9 and 16. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them, which is what, 200 million missiles, man. You know, because one missile can hold multiple warheads. You see? And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of janksing and brimstone, right? The iron weapon, the glittering sword. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. The mouth being what? The warhead. The warhead is what detonates, which causes the destruction. Verse 18, by these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone, which issue out of their mouths. The third part of men is talking about Esau, Edom, the sons of the wicked. This is how the wicked's rulership is being brought down. Verse 19, for their power is in their mouth, that's the warhead, and in their tails, that's the what they call it, the propulsion system. It's how it gets from one end to the other end. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. See, the warhead. And the tail is the propulsion, how it gets to the other side of the world. You know? And that's it on that. Let's go back to Joel 2 and 4. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. And what did it say up here? Second Esdras. Where is it at? Verse 6. Yep. Second Esdras 16 and 6. May any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it began to burn? Oh. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble. So it's the destruction that's coming, man. You know? It says, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. Going to be burned, going to be melted. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march every one on his way, and they shall not break their ranks. See, they shall not loose a latchet. They shall not slumber or sleep. No, they gonna march on to their destination. Verse 8, neither shall one thrust another. They ain't gonna be missiles shooting into each other or none of that. They shall walk everyone in his path, and when so the meaning what they whatever destination that the spirit has for it, that's where that missile is going to hit. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Meaning what? The missile defense systems. You know, the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is going to be within these missiles, man. So you can have your missile defense system and shoot missiles up and try to knock it out the way, and it ain't going to happen. Verse 9, they shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. Meaning what? They sweeping everything, man. Isaiah 14. It's a good read. Speaks about the besom of destruction. The word besom goes back into a sweeping agent, man. That destroying wind, that nuclear fire is going to sweep everything away, man. Verse 10, the earth shall quake before them. See, the earth shall reel to and fro. Then we read that in 2Edras 16. 2Edras 16:12. The earth quaketh and the foundations thereof. You see? The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark. And the stars shall withdraw their shining. You know? Same thing that we read in Isaiah 13, Isaiah 34. That's what's taking place upon the earth, man. Nuclear missiles is the end game. This is, and there's so many more scriptures, man. Jeremiah 50:9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, which is Russia and all its allies. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence shall she be taken. Their arrows, their missiles, shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. You know? And man, it's just so much, man. Verse 14, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. See, the destruction that's coming, you know? These nations are going to shoot their missiles on America, man. It says, all ye that bend the bow. It's verse 25. The Lord hath opened his armory, and he hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. Didn't we read that in Isaiah 13? For this is the work of the Lord, power of hosts, in the land of the Chaldeans, man. The land of Babylon. Didn't 2Edras 16:1 says, woe unto thee, Babylon, man? Man. Verse 29, call together the archers, right? Then it says, let's go back. 2Edras 16:7. May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer. You see? Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, camped against it round about, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, do unto her, for she hath been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. You know? And then you could keep reading down. It speaks about the most proud being Esau, Edom, this whole ass nigga, and how the sword is upon the Chaldean. Let me just read it. Jeremiah 50:35. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. Therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the island shall dwell there, and the owl shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Just like Isaiah 34 says, just like Isaiah 13 says, you know, Revelation says the same thing, Baruch the 4th chapter. Verse 40, as the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. That's how you know this ain't talking about ancient Babylon. It's talking about America, man. This is how America is going to be thrown down. As the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. You know, that's what's coming upon this place, man. Nuclear destruction, ultimately. Jeremiah 51:11, make bright the arrows. That word make bright mean what? Polish, that glittering, perfecting it, you know? Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, the Russians, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai, the vengeance of his temple. Salakia. I'm going to end it on this. This is Habakkuk. Man. This is Habakkuk 3. I'm going to just start at 8. It says, was Yahweh displeased against the rivers? Was thy anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thy horses and thy chariots of salvation? Thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oaths of the tribes, even thy word, Salah, thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thy arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. You see? Those arrows are talking about the missiles, man. And how are the elect going to get saved from the missiles being shot off? From the chariots of salvation getting beamed up into those so-called UFOs, man. Getting beamed up into the chariots of Israel, you know? So, Lord willing, I hope that was edifying, hey, man. Stay away from guys that's giving the change, But like I said, Lord willing, hope that was edifying. I give all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Baruch HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, salutations to all you brothers who preaching the gospel in truth and in sincerity and in charity, who's rightly dividing the word of truth directly and correctly, who's continuing in the things that thou hast learned and been assured of whom thou hast learned them from. Peace, blessings, salutations to you brothers, man. Shalom.